Welcome, comrades, to the program all about cars. My name is Ralph Medeiros. I own and operate Ralph's Auto Center with my son Andrew, and we're located at 867 Church Street in the north end of New Bedford. And you can give us a call on this rainy day, much needed rain, at 9960500. 9960500. We can talk about whatever's on your mind. Any problems you have with a car, whatever problem. We're going into fall, and we're coming back into everything seems to work pretty much on schedule. When you look what's happening around us. The hummingbirds are gone, that's for sure. They've been gone now for just over a week. They got the message as we settle into fall here. And the rain is coming back, and this hurricane that's lingering down in the Caribbean moving up possibly our way. And so we'll have to keep a kind of a hairy eyeball on that, because that could certainly end our Indian summer here much sooner than we expect. It rips all the leaves off the trees and really changes our weather pattern here. So we'll see how that works out. Hopefully we'll dodge that bullet. We've been lucky so far in the last few years, to say the least. Today being October 1st, and it's the beginning of the new, well, tomorrow, this evening, I guess, tomorrow, beginning of the new Jewish New Year, 5,577 since time began. And the Muslims New Year also begins at 1,438. Okay, so we enter this new season of ours, October 1st, 2016. Sunrise, which you couldn't see, was at 6:41 this morning, and it will be setting, and I don't think you'll see that either unless you're in a 20,000 feet in an airplane over this cloud layer. Will be at 6:25. 6:25. We lost 7 minutes in the morning from last Saturday, and 12 minutes we'll lose this afternoon or early evening when the sun sets. We've lost 19 minutes of light, the tidal light from last week. The tidal light is rushing out of the northern hemisphere, heading south. And so far, we've lost 3 hours and 27 minutes. So we're just over halfway through, reaching bottom here on around December 21st, the beginning of winter, when we start to scratch our way back up a long road up, 6 months up, 6 months down. High tide has already taken place at New Bedford at 8:40 this morning. We're about to, well, low tide is going to be coming very soon, actually a couple of hours at 2:37. Not that many people will be out there fishing. It's kind of windy and things are stirred up. But for those of you who do go out, you're going to be little hardy souls, or maybe you're living on your boat and you want to know what the tides are. Moonrise is taking place at 7:07 this morning. It's a new moon, or a new moon is actually new moon is technically was last night at 8:11 p.m. So it's right at the very end of the month of September, which is called technically a black moon because it's the second new moon for the month in September. In some parts of the world, it's the new moon is today, October 1st, depending on what part of the world you're in. You want to get technical. So this is what's happening around you. And you have to be aware of what's happening, not just in your own mind, your own, a lot of people just get narrowed down to their own problems and issues in their life, and their life isn't much beyond their own little problems. And there's a bigger picture out there, and you have to be aware of it, and that you're part of this bigger picture, and we're being tested all the time. So give us a call here at 9960500, and we can talk about whatever issue you'd like to discuss. And now's the time to get your car ready for the winter. It's right around the corner, and if you guys out there with trucks and all that, you should seriously consider undercoating it before the salt hits in earnest. They use this new sort of salt. It's like liquid salt now, and it's extremely corrosive, and it gets embedded in the cracks and crevices of your vehicle, car or truck, and it just when on a rainy day like today, it gets reactivated and starts the corrosion process. And it's highly corrosive. A lot of people have found that out the hard way. So protect your investment. Give us a call. Undercoating starts on cars at $200, and on trucks starts at $250 for fluid film. And then we offer another service as well, another system, which is solvent based, which is a bit more expensive because it's much more difficult to apply. So there's 2 versions we offer of undercoating, which you depending on the year of the vehicle you have and the condition it's in, you'd have to decide which system, and we'll help you decide which system is best for you. The other system is pretty much It starts around 400 and up. Okay, it's a solvent based, and it's very tenacious. But they're both good. They both have their merits. So there's no one system fits all, so to speak. Okay, like everything else in this world today, there's no easy answers. But the one thing for sure is if you want your car to outlast your car payments, and rather than see it have very serious rust and corrosion, which adds to the expense of your maintenance, and really affects the trade-in value of your vehicle. Dealers deduct substantially for cars with rust because they're very expensive to fix, if they're worth fixing at all. So especially when you get into trucks and SUVs, whatever you spend for undercoating is a mere pittance compared to what you'll lose or spend in repairing the truck. Or if you trade it in because it's a few years older, you'll also suffer depreciation loss. Dealers are fully aware of this, and you have to be aware of it yourself. So it's a small investment to protect your investment. And I see it all the time. People bring vehicles to us and they have a lot of rust and they have to have frame repair, because here, living on the coast and also with the salty winters, it's a double whammy. The air is salty year round, so it affects vehicles, and it just keeps that corrosion on a slow simmer, if you will, and in the winter it really picks it up quickly. And they're using this salt now that's called like a liquid salt, and it's they don't have to clean up as much sand come the spring, so it's very effective. It lowers their cost, but it does affect your vehicle's life as far as corrosion goes. And manufacturers usually don't use much in coatings on vehicles these days because, first of all, you don't see it. It's expensive to do. And the upper panels, the paint and all that, they do a pretty good job in protecting the upper panels on vehicles. Although we see a lot of cars today with rust, around the windshield, around the body parts that are quite high from the road. So, rust is a serious issue. You really have to stay on it. And these are relatively new cars as well. These aren't old cars. A lot of, and it's domestic and foreign. A lot of the foreign metal, though, some of the metal, the quality of the metal, I question sometimes when I see the rust on these cars. For young cars that are like 2008s, 9s, 10s, and they have substantial rust on them already. So, and some domestics. I've seen some Jeeps, like Compasses and Jeep Compasses and Patriots with some substantial rust. They have some issues going on there that you have to be aware of and stay on it. So it's a small investment worth considering to do. More good news: the U.S. economy grew at just a anemic rate of 1.4% in the spring. Okay, I think this year our economic growth in the last 8 years with this the Obama administration has been extremely anemic. And these policies haven't really been fostered towards good growth in our GDP and jobs and incomes, and it's obviously quite noticeable, especially in communities like ours. We're not like a Boston or a New York or a Miami, where there's a lot of capital investment and a lot of growth in those major markets, both here on the East Coast and the West Coast. And here in smaller markets, it's been much more anemic. So it says here the economy slowed sharply in the fourth quarter of last year. GDP has averaged just 1% over the last 9 months. So we're not out of the woods by a long shot. And I think we're going to be probably seeing a little more difficult times ahead. Who knows? Who knows? We're running some specials too on tires. We have some exceptionally good values on tires. And very depending on the size of the tire you have, of course. And, some cars with sporty suspensions have tires to go along with it, and the tires tend to be more expensive for cars that have higher handling capabilities. We have a pretty much the average automobile. We have some great tire deals. You can get a new set of tires on your car for less than $300. That's counting taxes, mounting, balance, the whole 9 yards out the door. And that's a very competitive price for a good quality set of tires. We have more expensive ones depending on your needs, but if you're not doing a lot of high-speed commuting, long distances, everybody has different needs, and tires are kind of like shoes. They vary widely in their applications, just like shoes do. When you go buy shoes, walking shoes, running shoes, dress shoes. Same goes for tires. There's many different levels of tires you can buy. And very often people aren't advised properly on tires. They just tend to seek out the cheapest possible tire, which for some people makes sense. But other people, a word of caution, because what you spend for those tires, you can probably get a little better deal, spend a little more money. So everybody's different. It's just hard to find people who can advise you properly. That's why we ask that you seek us out, and we'll advise you properly and put you in the right set of tires that match your needs. Not just to sell you a set of tires and make a few dollars quick. That's not our game. So my brother David's at the shop today. So if you want out and about and you want to discuss cars, kind of a yucky day to get out there. It's not pouring rain like it was earlier this morning. It's a little drizzly. But if you're just starting to look around, shop around, go by and talk to him. See if if we don't have what you want, we bring it in. And we bring cars in for people all the time, and it just takes a little work on your side, a little work on our side, and we come together and we try to find the right car at the right price for you. And generally, we can save you some serious money compared to the big guys on the major highways with the high rent. And so if you're looking for a rather new car, a rather newer, let's say 2010 to 2015, 16, we can help you in that endeavor and save you some pretty serious money. You just have to plan and coordinate, and we'll get you the color, the model you're looking for at the right price. So we do this for folks all the time. We bring in all kinds of machines. And of course we stock many cars that we stock in inventory priced between the $4,000 and the $15,000 range. So we're in the value end of the market that we stock for people who just don't want large car payments. And most our payments for a lot of deals I look at are between $125 to $200 in that ballpark. Some creep up. Some of the newer cars, the ones that sell for $15 and up, will be over $225. But generally they're still reasonable by pretty much any standard when I see what's happening out in the marketplace. I had a young fella come in to see us, and he was driving a Jeep, and he wanted to get out of his Jeep, and I was talking to him, and he's telling me it's a fairly new Jeep, by the way, too. And then he says that he was leasing it. I said, okay. And I said, well, how deep are you into your lease? He said, I have a 5-year lease. I said, 5-year lease? I said, whoa. He goes, yeah. I said, wow. I said, what's your mileage? He says, about 12. I said, I hope you don't crash over. He says, well, I should be okay. I'm coming close, but maybe a little over. I said, oh boy, it doesn't sound good. And here he's trying to get out of his lease, which is probably, frankly, more concrete around him than there is on Chernobyl reactor at this stage of the game, as far as him getting out of his lease. And his payoff was quite high. And what they did is they carried his negative equity forward on the previous car he traded in, which he had money, he owed money, and he got less than his payoff. The mortgage was on the car, so they carried that negative equity forward. So basically that's why I say he's in concrete now. And I told him without a substantial amount of money down, like $3,000 to $5,000, he's not going to be able to get out of that lease. It cost him a fortune. So some people do some real foolish things. You really have to get good advice today. Some of the dealers you go to don't care. If you want to get done, they'll get you done. Plain and simple. So you really have to be aware, and you have to shop around, look around, talk to people who know what's going on. A lot of people give you advice in the car business, and they don't know even what they're talking about. Even those in the trade sometimes say things that are just off the wall. So you just have to seek out advice. Go to people that have been around in the trade a long time. We've been at it for a long time, and whether we sell your car or not, we're not going to mislead you or lie to you. That's not the way we do business. And we do go for referrals, and that's our lifeblood, by taking care of you in the first deal, whether you buy an inexpensive $4,000 car or a $40,000 car. It doesn't change what we do for you or getting the car ready. We put the same amount of energy and effort into it to make sure that you get a fair deal and you get your money's worth at whatever level you're at. And that's the key. You're getting value for what the car you bought and driving the money out of it. And then next time it comes around, or somebody, a colleague or a friend, somebody at work, who knows, they're looking for a car. People usually advise them to come see us and shop us, because they've had a good experience. And so that's what we rely on, is word of mouth. We've been at it a long time. And referrals. And read the reviews. Go online and read the reviews. By the way, if you want to look us up online, you can read about our inventory. You can fill out a credit application. Go to ralphscars.com, ralphscars.com. And you can go to our website and see our inventory. If you want to avoid a lot of hassle, you can fill out a credit app there, and we can get back to you on it and make arrangements for you. So usually with a lot of people, when you walk into a dealership, they don't even want to know your name. They just want your social security number to run it and see what your credit rating is. And if your credit rating is enough to get you financed, then they'll continue the conversation. If not, you're just marginalized, especially if they're busy. Just the way it operates. They're very systems orientated, these bigger stores. Instead of trying to work with you and consult with you and find an alternative to maybe help you get back on your feet, maybe you hit the guardrails for whatever reason. Maybe you're out of work, you had medical bills, or maybe you just screwed up. You didn't pay attention, you didn't pay your bills, and you started stiffing people. And now there's consequences. The consequences is you can't get financed. So now you need a strategy to get financed. And you want to try to avoid going to what we call the blood bank. The blood bank of these fellows who put you in cars and they finance you, and you pay by the week. And it seems like it's you better get a better deal with Vinny or the Loan Shark, some of these guys. So you have to. If you get to that point, then you have some serious issues you have to address and get back on the right track, because it costs you a fortune. The rates are high, car prices are high, and you're forever paying exorbitant weekly rent. Think of it that way. That's how they make their money. So it's best to avoid getting yourself kind of like on the fly paper, so to speak, where your monthly payments go up substantially because of maybe past issues you had in your life, some justified, some not justified. Some people, if you get sick and you're out of work, things happen in life and unexpected, and it happens. Other times people are irresponsible, and then there's consequences to that irresponsibility. And then they learn very quickly the consequences is your monthly payments go up, or you can't get financed at all. So we try to review with people and try to get them on the right track and guide them and make them loyal customers. But you just have to shop around and experience the different dealerships and draw it from there. Draw your conclusions from there. Anyway, you can give us a call here at 9960500, 9960500, and we can talk about whatever's bugging you. You got a car problem. But now's the time, seriously, to really look at your tires going into winter, rainy weather like today. I mean, I see some cars coming to the shop. We had a car come in. Matter of fact, there was a Jeep Compass Rally, and the tires were bald on it. Front tires were down to the canvas. And I was talking to the dad. It was, I think, the daughter's car, and she's got some issues there. And Dad's getting tired of paying all the bills, but we did hook him up with a set of tires to make the car safe again. And but some people they're clueless. They're absolutely clueless. And it creates an unsafe situation for themselves as well as you and I on the roads. Because on a rainy day like today, they're going to slam. If they had to stop short quickly, they won't. They're going to take off. They're going to start skidding and sliding. And someone could get hurt or killed because of it. And you look at that terrible accident in 195, 3 people killed this week. It's a lot of 195 of these highways are very dangerous. I was just driving back from Fall River, heading over here, and I got there seconds after it happened. Someone lost control, spun out, hit the guardrail, and totaled out their little foreign car. Bumper and parts all over the place, and they were facing, instead of looking at the back of the car, I'm looking at the front of the car, because they spun around completely. But the car was definitely totaled. It looked like a high-end Nissan or an Infiniti. That was the smaller one that was basically totaled out over the highway. So people drive fast today. On the highways today, 75, 80 miles an hour is the norm. It's crazy. So you make sure you have to really make sure that your equipment's in good shape. Could make the difference between getting in an accident or not, or avoiding one. Because I more often than not I've had to sway or slam on the brakes and avoid accidents in traveling. And when you're traveling at 60 miles an hour, you're going 88 feet per second. So at 80 miles an hour, you're over 100 feet per second. So by the time you see it, you're either going to hit it or try to avoid it, because it's coming at you that fast. And you don't think about things like that until you get into it. And when you're on the cell phone, smoking a cigarette, playing the music loud, you're not paying attention. You know what's going to happen, the results. There's an article here about gas mileage rules. Rolling back mileage rules to be reasonable levels. Michigan's top-ranking congressional Republican called Tuesday for federal regulators to roll back requirements that mandates automakers to achieve fleet-wide average of 54.5 miles per gallon for cars and light trucks by 2025. That's 8 years away. Cars and trucks would have to change radically to get to 54 miles per gallon. I mean, you see huge radical changes to see that happen. And of course, the pricing of these cars too would go through the roof, which would probably make more people out there keep their cars they have and keep them in good repair, rather than re-up into some of these more expensive cars. Even though they get good mileage, they're much more expensive to repair, and they're less tolerant of being out of spec. If your E-lights on, things like that, some of these cars force you to bring them in to get repaired. They go into lit mode. They have other issues as well, because their operation that they operate in to operate efficiently is very narrow. So to keep the mileage up and the emissions down. And when the lights come on, they let you know they go in a lit mode. They won't shift into high gear until you get them repaired. This is the future here. It's actually, the future is now. There's no question that improved vehicle mileage efficiency is a worthy goal, but not if it's reached in a way that harms consumers. With the average cost of a new car at $34,000 and rising, we don't need any unnecessary costly Washington mandates, said Upton. Being from Michigan, I also worry about the impact these standards could have on the long-term health of the auto industry, he continued. The industry is doing well now, thanks in large part to pent-up demand after the last recession and very low interest rates that are making financing about as cheap as it's ever been. Well, sure, financing is definitely down for people with decent credit. Prices are up quite a bit, so the low rates have definitely mitigated somewhat of the price increases that have taken place. But when these rates go back to more normal levels, then it'll become apparent that these cars are quite expensive without you putting any money down, since a lot of people they have all they can do to come up with tax money. Because if you're buying if you're looking at an average $30,000 car, you need $1,900 just in sales tax money, cash. Okay, I guess you could put it on your credit card maybe. Well, you have to pay a fee. But either way, when you're paying $625 per $30,000 car, you're at almost $1,900 right up front for your sales tax. So they have an automatic escalator in these taxes, extremely regressive. Okay, because when inflation takes off, they ride on top, so they get their money no matter what. And that's what makes this so oppressive when you look at what's happening in our economy. But a lot of people don't think that far out anyway. But back to the story here. The gas mileage rules, known as the Corporate Average Fuel Economy, or CAF standards, are beginning to take effect with the 2017 model year. The rules, which are locked in for a model year between 2017 and 2021, call for ramping up the current fleet-wide mileage of about 34 miles per gallon for cars and trucks that were required in 2016. So the average in 2016 is 34 miles per gallon as the fleet average, and eventually this is going to go to more than 50 by 2025. So you see there's going to be quite a significant jump here, and it sounds good getting 50 miles per gallon, but it probably means you're driving a hybrid, or you're going to be in a 3-cylinder car with a turbo, or even probably 2 cylinders like they have in other parts of the world. So everybody's going to be in a very small and light car, because bigger cars will be more difficult to reach these standards, and they'll have to build less of them or put much smaller power plants in it, or use very expensive lightweight materials like carbon fiber, more plastic, fiberglass, more aluminum, which are more expensive, materials than steel, heavier steel. So this is why they're worried about the car prices rising. And a lot of these smaller cars are imported too. Ford is shipping a lot of their small production to Mexico, because obviously they pay the Mexican workers significantly less than they're going to pay an American worker. So back to the story. The increase starts with a rise to an average more than 35 miles to the gallon for 2017 models that are already being rolled out. They gradually rise to 41 miles per gallon by 2021. Automakers have a chance to argue for reductions for the model years between 2022 and 2025 after a review that is set to take place on April in 2018. Auto companies that do not meet the higher emission standards will be fined $5.50 for each 1/10 of a mile per gallon their average fuel economy falls short of the standard for the model year. So there's a tax in there for each 1/10 of a mile per gallon their average fuel economy falls short of the standard for the model year, multiplied by the total volume of vehicles that are being built. My phone is going off, excuse me. I don't know who's calling me at this time, but I think they know me too. They should know better. Okay. Back to the story. The automakers will be allowed to purchase credits from other auto companies, kind of like carbon purchases, like power plants, from other auto companies that have come in under the mileage requirements to cover the pollution deficits. It's almost like a carbon tax in reverse. They won't call it that because people get offended. But the bottom line is, it's going to raise it for you and I, who ultimately buy these cars. And the cost will be passed on to us in the price of the car, obviously. Okay, so Tuesday hearing allows for projection from the federal regulators, which stated that automakers may only be able to achieve fleet-wide averages of between 50 and 52 miles per gallon by the deadline that was set by the Obama administration in 2012. Auto companies have seized upon the projection to argue that the federal regulation should consider scaling back the stringent mileage rules when they come up for midterm review by 2018. So let us know what you think about those rules. There's a call here. Of course, environmental companies have come out and countered this, and saying that the manufacturers are disingenuous because they were consulted on the emission targets before they were finalized. In 2012, automakers stood with President Obama as he signed the fuel-efficient safeguards into action, now claiming the standards are unrealistic. Automakers are trying to pump the brake on climate progress, said the Sierra Club Associate Director for Legislative and Administrative Advocacy. So you can see the battle lines are being drawn here. Now, I think it goes beyond emissions and that. I think it goes into safety too. These smaller, lighter cars, when they get in accidents, they get their, we have to look at safety data. I know death rates are rising. Of course, there's more cars, more traffic, more craziness on the highways, but smaller cars, just when you get in an accident, there's less protecting you. So, you might lose your life in the name of reducing CO2 emissions for maybe good reasons, maybe not. So this is what's up against me there. You had a caller. Caller's back call. I'll take that call. I was hanging on the line. I'll talk to you. So give us your opinion, what you think about this. We're talking about it. Democrats on a panel took aim at the system of credits that is also included in the emission rules. Tuesday's hearing argued that the buyouts weaken the overall goal of reducing pollution for cars and trucks. Should an eco-friendly sedan excuse a gas-guzzling SUV? So, said Jan Sadowski, Democrat of Illinois. Other Republicans on the panel suggested eliminating the mileage rules altogether, arguing that the Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump would likely ditch the requirements if he's successful in the White House bid. You could make a good intellectual case to just replace CAF and let the market do the work. But we need a new president, said Joe Barton, a Republican of Texas. And if Mr. Trump is a president, we'll be back. Yeah, so I see what these rising car prices do to customers, though, when they come in to buy a car, and because as new cars rise, it makes as new car prices get more expensive, it makes used cars hold their value longer, so it technically raises the prices for everybody in the marketplace. Good cars. I'm not talking cars that are all beat up. I'm talking good cars. So cars are quite expensive. So hence the movement to build them overseas with cheaper labor. So we're almost kind of, and I understand the need to conserve fuel and obviously maximize the efficiency of these cars. And cars today are quite efficient. Some of these newer cars, when you start looking at cars, and well, to talk broadly, like from 2000 up, there's some guzzlers in the early 2000s for sure, but cars are noticeably much more efficient in the 2000 up, especially 2005 up. I see a huge difference. Some of them are pretty darn good on gas, and some big cars at that as well are pretty good. Some of these Cadillacs, some of these SUVs aren't too bad. Some of them are dogs on gas, sure. Drive some of these Dakotas and Durangos. Some of those with the V8s are a little thirsty. Of course, you could climb a mountain with them too, or plow out a business, what have you. They're very powerful rigs, so you need the power sometimes to do certain jobs. But they're going to force you to buy the heavier rigs, like the 250s and up, to get V8s, because the lighter trucks will only have 6 cylinders or 4 cylinders. V8s will be virtually unable to get in the lighter trucks unless you have a heavy-duty packages, snowplow packages. You have to spend a little bit of dough to get your vehicle hooked up to where you want. But as far as V8s and the average Joe's cars, forget about it. They're virtually going to be going away. They might come out with some real small block V8s, under 4 liters for smoothness and novelty. You might see some of that. And the Germans have built some in the past and probably continue to do so. But they're not cheap by any means. They're expensive. This is the future we're looking at. And people flip out when you tell them the price of some of these new parts, modules, computers, programming, all these things you have to do with these cars today to keep them on the road. Yeah, sure, you're going to get 35 miles, 40 miles to the gallon, but when it breaks, you're going to be giving all that money you saved back to keep the car on the road. This is the reality. No easy way out, I guess, right? Pushing the envelope forward. But I understand the need. I mean, when you look at there's more cars being sold in China by far than there is in the United States, and they're growing. They're still growing at a very. They've just started to kind of get on the program of driving and living like wanting to live like the West, the Americans in particular, do. And they're predicting car sales in China after around 2020 or after reaching close to 30 million units a year. 30 million new cars a year is what some projections are out there. I mean, we're averaging 17 in America now, and I think China's 18. I haven't looked at the latest figures, but so I mean, 30 million new cars a year on the road. That's a phenomenal number. I don't think we'll ever see that number in this country because we don't have 1.4 billion people. We've got around 300. I don't know, what are we at, 350 million in this country? That's counting all the illegals, which are probably another 20, 25 million. So when you start looking at the numbers, you can understand. And right now, prices are low in oil. And they're low because, well, it tells you how bad the economy is. Okay, some people say, it's a great feeling having cheap energy prices. Well, yeah, it certainly is, but it also reflects how bad the overall economy is when you see these commodities like oil and steel and everything else that's basically collapsed. They've lost a third to half their value. Speaking of which, OPEC has met, and they're trying to raise the global price of oil, which God only knows if they'll be successful in doing that. I think not. I think the Americans, everybody's trying to service their debt, so they're pumping all the oil they possibly can out of the ground. Very good afternoon to you, caller. Hello.
Well.
Yes.
Hey, Jerry Morrissey, how are you?
Hi, Jerry. I'm well, thank you.
Good. Good.
What are you going to? Yeah, I know you got an announcement.
What's that?
You got an announcement about the theater group.
You have?
No, you do.
Oh no,
yep.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to. Yeah, okay, I'll get to that right away.
Yeah, no, I know you. Because I know you get your car washed. I don't have. I forgot to bring a ticket with me to say the dates and the times.
Yeah.
So I apologize.
The car wash is next week on the 8th from 9 to 12 at the right at the horseshoe at the school there. We got a big open space there. We kids trained professionally with professional car wash. They do a good job not to leave any spots on the car. And they move through very quickly. We got a nice system going there with the cars, and we have people not to wait long. Just keep moving right along. And,
what time again was that? It's next Saturday. What time?
Next Saturday, yeah. We put in for good weather, so it should be good.
Good. What time, Jerry?
9 to 12. What's that?
9 to 12?
Yeah, 9 to 12.
All right.
9 to, so we get started around 8:30 or so. We usually have
good.
All the kids in the theater company will be there washing away. They work hard.
Oh, I know they do.
Because one of our two big fundraisers we use for the theater company.
Well, that's good.
Secondly, I want to tell everybody what a great job you did on my old car. Convinced me not to buy a new one and just salvage that car for me. We spent a few bucks on it, but it's like new again. I got it for another couple of years. It was a great thing you did with your guys up here, your shop.
I'm glad
you. Everybody to know that. You know.
Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
You're not only a great supporter of the theater company, or you're a great businessman.
Yeah.
A great job up there.
Well, we try to play by the rules. I mean,
you do.
You know, and try to deliver value. And like I said to you, Jerry, rather than put yourself in hock for 3 to 5 years on a new car, and you can put a small investment in your car and drive the money out.
Clearly now I can see that it's the way to go.
Yeah. So I'm glad it's working out for you. Yeah. I appreciate you calling about that. But I try a lot of people.
Listening, Ralph.
Yep. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye. So often I meet people and they'll have a problem with their car, and it'll be a fairly significant problem, and 800, 1,000, 15, 2,000, and if the car's in decent shape, other than the problem you have currently, because maybe it's just bad luck, something let go, fairly major, but the body's good, it's no major rust, and it's not inside, the interior doesn't look like a disaster. If the car is structurally sound overall, sometimes it's worth putting this investment in and then driving out the money you invested over a period of time. And the way I amortize it is this way. Let's say, you can easily, when you go out and buy a newer car or a new car, you can easily have a car payment of $300 a month. Easy. So let's say you have to put, $1,500 in the car. In 5 months you can drive that money out. If you look at it that way, you amortize it that way, and it makes sense. And I see so many people go into Hawk. They'll trade the car in, get less for it because of all the problems it may have that they didn't do, and they'll put themselves in a loan of 3, 4, 5 years, 6-year loans, paying $300, $350, sometimes $275. So, and then they're back on, the merry-go-round, and they never get ahead. So, it's hard to get some honest, serious advice today, about your transportation needs. And that's what we specify. My phone is going crazy. I guess somebody wants to get through to me here and text me. Matt, have you got something? I got to get a drink of water here, too. I'm talking a while. Maybe get queued up. Yeah, I want to play it's one of my favorite artists. He's a black man that came out of New Orleans, moved up to Chicago. He's known as Joe King Oliver. And he did outstanding work. He is one of the foundational people involved in American jazz, American culture. King Joe Oliver. People who listen to this music can appreciate what he's done and what he created, his artistic skills. How he, what happened to him in his life, how he got screwed over when the banks collapsed, lost all his savings, and he ended up dying in poverty down in Georgia. When you read his story, it's heart-wrenching. But here we go. Listen, enjoy his music, and we'll bring him back from the musical abyss. Welcome back to All About Cars with Ralph Medeiros, second hour. Thank you for tuning in and listening. If you're new to the show, I own and operate with my son, Ralph's Auto Center. We're located at 867 Church Street in the northern end of Bedford. We're just off of Route 140, exit 5. Put you on Church Street, bear to the right, go down. And if you're coming from the north, you bear to the left. But just head down south, set south on Church Street. And on the right-hand side, right after Regal House and Webb Plumbing and Ian Dollar General, directly opposite of New Bedford location was faculty and bus entrance in the back side, the Church Street entrance. Very easy to get to, not a traffic light or a stop sign. There we serviced all makes and models of cars. If you need your car worked on, something as simple as an oil change. Oil changes start out the door, including tax and disposal. Complete 5 quarts of oil, semi-synthetic oil, with a new filter at $24.98, and that's complete. And you get a good job. I'm going to give the vehicle a quick look over and let you know if you have any issues cropping up. So, and we also do more serious work too. We can do any kind of problem that comes up. You need brake work, engine work, transmission work, suspension work. We do it all. And if we don't do it, we'll tell you right up front. We know of another outfit that can do it more efficiently than us. Sometimes it requires specialized equipment for certain makes and models that we may not have all the equipment, and we'll advise you accordingly. It's impossible to have virtually all the equipment to service all the cars on the road. There's so many special tools out there now. We do have quite a few of them, but it's almost impossible to have it all. And we'll tell you right up front. And there's some jobs people are specialized in and they're more efficient at it. So if we're going to do a certain job, they only do maybe 1 or 2 a year. It's sometimes better to just have someone who does more, do them more often, do the job. So that's what we do. Oh, my computer's going crazy here. Shut this down here. And you can give us a call here at 996-0500, 996-0500. Talk about whatever's on your mind. You got a car problem. As I mentioned earlier, we're doing some great tire sales right now. You should look at your tires. A lot of people have tires and they look at the tread and say, gee, my tread looks okay, but it's the cracking, the dry rot is a serious issue. A lot of people don't even realize that their tires are dry rotted. Generally, tires get dry rotted when they start. It starts usually 4 years and up. They recommend you don't leave your tires on your car, even though the tread may be look perfectly fine, more than 6 years. They say they should just replace them for the potential to avoid a potential blowout because of dry rot. The ozone, the sunlight, makes the rubber dry up and crack. And you can see that with other rubber products you have and how it cracks and let go. And tires are no different. So tires represent a major safety issue that is often forgotten. A lot of people just don't put much attention to their tires. They really don't until something happens. And then they realize, well, they get in an accident or a blowout and they have to wait for AAA to show up, because most people today can't change a tire. They wouldn't know where to begin. They wouldn't know if their life depended on it. So it's just the way it is. Just the way it is. I've been humbled enough times having to change a tire out on the road. When the tire, get a flat, you pick up a nail, especially when there's a lot of construction going on. And you're forced to change your own tire because you're out of town, what have you. And if I'm out buying cars, and it's happened to me on numerous occasions, I've had to get out there and change a tire. In some cars, it's a little bit of work. Some of these trucks, the tires underneath the car, you got to crank it down, and if it's not frozen or rusted, and you have to play with it and work on it, it can be a little bit of a challenge. But I'm up to the challenge. I've done it enough times. But today's most folks today just couldn't handle it. Just to follow the directions, to get the jack out of the trunk or underneath the seat, wherever they put it. Excuse me. Okay. You just listened to Marlene Dietrich, Falling in Love Again. That song brings back memories. I had a friend of mine he invited me to a party, and he's a gay guy, and we were there, my wife and I, and we went to a tropical party that he had at his house, and his friend, his mate, and he would dress up in drag and sing. He looked a lot like Marlene Dietrich when he got done preparing, and he would sing, pantomize this song, so it brought back memories of that tropical party that we had He lived downtown in New Bedford. He lived in the cities. In a sense, left this part of the. I was thinking, wait, west. I think that's the LA area. But brings back memories of that. So, what's going on? Well, we got a great selection of radios. With Christmas coming, you should consider upgrading radio for yourself, or maybe a gift for someone else. They start cheap enough at $63 for a very high quality pocket radio. You get a nice little table radio for $75, and AM/FM analog, simple to use. A little LED light on it, has a nice sound, nice AM sound to it. Has fine tuning, very sophisticated radio. The most sophisticated tabletop you're going to buy for under 75, under 100. Let's put it that way. We have shortwaves. We're out of stock right now. And the shortwaves, I should have some more in. They started. Well, I do have a paperback size shortwave, a very advanced little shortwave for about. It's less than $90. It has AM/FM, weather, aircraft on it. It's very sophisticated little radio. Has a lot of features. And then we have a tabletop shortwave, which goes for about $110. They sell it for $150 plus shipping. So it costs you $165 if you order from them direct. We sell them for $110. Unfortunately, we're out. And then I have the top of the line, which we sell for $149.99, $100 $1.50. They sell it delivered to your door for about $185. So they represent significant savings. This is not a profit center. It's more of a hobby, if you will. And we get them for people, and keep you informed. A lot of people, all they have is terrestrial radio, AM/FM, and maybe basic cable, if at all. They have cable, and they're not on the internet. And today, if you're not on the net, and you don't have access to internet news and data feeds, and you are basically, you're not informed if you're just relying on the mass media today. You're really not. Their access is extremely limited unless you read a dozen newspapers, which is prohibitively expensive. If you're going to do that, you might just teach yourself how to use a computer. Or go to the library, a good library. You can get these journals and read them for no expense directly to you. Very good afternoon to you, Colin.
Hi, how are you?
Better than I deserve. How are you doing?
So here's what saved me on the road with flat tires more than once. In my trunk of my car, in the saddlebag of my motorcycle,
yep,
I get one of those small compressors. You can buy them, like at Walmart or anywhere. They're pretty small. You plug into your cigarette lighter.
Yep.
And those will pump up to around 90 pounds.
Yeah, you have to wait about 2 hours, but yeah, they'll do it.
Yeah,
wow.
You got to wait a little while.
Yeah.
But I carry one of those and a plug kit.
Yeah.
And a pair of side cutters, pliers. I'm sure you know what they are.
Yep.
And you get a nail in your tire. You just pull the nail out. You ream it with the reamer that comes with the tire plug kit. You put the plug in it. You pump it up, and see you later. You're on your way in 5 minutes.
Well, depends how low your tire is. You're going to wait for that little compressor because they work their cookies off trying to charge the cheap ones anyway.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I've got one that pumps up pretty quick.
It's not
that bad.
Yeah, if you buy a good one.
Buy a decent one, yeah. Probably you can buy a decent one, I think around $30 or something,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
It's saving, especially on my motorcycle, because once you get a flat on your motorcycle, you're done. You gotta call for a tow truck or something,
Yeah. If you're gonna plug it, you're right.
Twice over the years, I pulled nails out, put plugs in them, and on my motorcycle, I get rid of the tire, but I mean, I don't keep a plug in it, you know what I mean? Because safety reasons.
Yeah, I'd be a little nervous going around corners if you have a plug on it or something,
Yeah, I just, get me home or wherever it is I'm going, and then I'd replace the tire as soon as I can,
Yeah. No, that's a good idea, though. I'm in and out of a lot of cars because we're shipping cars in, so when it happens to me, it's like you're SOL, you know what I mean? You have no choice.
Right.
You got to change it. But what you're saying, to have you can buy these tire kits, just like you said, for somebody who's handy, understands, and obviously talking to you, you understand how to use one of those. The average layperson might have a difficult time reaming out that hole with the rasp, I'm talking about.
Yeah, that can be pretty tough.
That takes a little bit of energy, depending where it is, and then putting the plug in there.
The steel cords of the tires sometimes. That gets pretty tough.
Right. So somebody that's handy, technically, can handle it, and the physical health to do it, then okay, you're right. You're right on the money. It's part of good common sense what you just said. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I realize it's not, a lot of people aren't able to do that, but it's just a thought. The first thing I found too, especially if you have a car, have some kind of roadside assistance. I don't care if you're young or you're old.
Yeah.
You know what? Like AAA or my insurance company, when you buy a policy with them, they provide you with it. You just call the number. Guy comes out with a tow truck. He's a professional. He's got all the tools. He's ready for anything. You can change your tire. You can fill you up with gas. You can get you jump started. Or if worse comes to worse, he can give you a tow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, no, a good AAA or one of those services.
Yeah.
And make sure you tip the guy because he's out there and usually it's a lousy day. If it's cold or whatever, and some people are cheap, they'll give them $2 or something. Give me a break.
It's a dangerous job for them, too. Just like being a cop pulling a car over.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. 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 Well, thank you for the call.
That's my thought for today.
No, you're on the money.
Good luck to you. Hopefully this election will be over faster than we think so. And we'll just have to take it from there because I'm not happy with either candidate, unfortunately. So,
well, I understand. You have to look past the personalities, though, and look at the policies and the future. And go from there. If you like the way things are going, then the choice is obvious.
The way it is, we can't change it.
Well, do your little part.
Yeah.
Each raindrop doesn't believe it caused the flood. Right?
Right. Yeah, you're right.
So we're kind of like little raindrops. If there's enough raindrops, there's a flood.
Yeah, correct.
Thank you.
Right. Have a great day, Ralph.
Yep. Thank you for the call. Bye-bye. Very good afternoon to you, caller.
Ralphie.
Billy.
I've been trying to get earlier. Sometimes that phone just rings and rings and rings.
Yeah, I guess Deb had called from Rochester saying the same thing there. And this gentleman I was just talking to was talking to me. And, I mean, his call, it sounded, he was on his car phone, or truck phone, car phone, but he was coming through pretty good. But we've had someone else complained earlier, so. Might be water. I told her, it might be water on the string. You got to pull the string and clear the raindrops up.
Yeah. Well, I had to leave you the other day in no man's land there.
Yeah, I know. You blasted off. Yeah, you come in, did the mission, and boom, gone.
Yeah, but I had to go to the registry, man, sit there for 2 hours or so.
Did you?
Yeah, that's why I left.
Yeah, it's like being in the Guatemalan airport, huh?
Well, terrible.
Yeah. I know. That's realities in America today, my friend.
I mean, it only takes like 2 minutes. You go up there, you give them the $60, they give the thing out the door, you go. You got to wait hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
That's why I told you, I got to get over it, Ralph. That when you kept talking, I said, I got to go by, and I just jumped in that Honda with the stick and took off.
Yeah. Well, no, you could. You did what you did. You had to do.
They handed me the screws and the plate, and I said, see you later, and the keys, bye.
Yeah.
I stuck it around behind the garage.
Yeah. Good. It ran well.
Ran beautiful. I like that stick shift.
Yeah, there's not many of those. That was the Toyota you drove, right?
I don't know what it was. Well, it shifts very easy.
Yeah, Toyota Corolla.
That wasn't bad.
Yeah.
5-speed shift, very simple.
And we bring in standard shifts for people who want them. They're getting harder to find, so we do make it a point to bring them.
That must be very good on gas.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And with a stick.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be.
And it was comfortable for Toyota. Yeah,
no, it's a good little machine.
It wasn't top of the line, I guess, but what if it was? It wasn't bad. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's just a good, solid, middle-of-the-road car.
It was pretty clean.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, for less than $10,000. I don't know what that one going for precisely, but they priced right, that's for sure.
Well, they did a good job. I looked at both cars. They looked pretty good. The other one behind it, the red one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you saw it, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at both of them. I put the plates on the both of them, and then I took off. I said, I got to go, Ralph. When I got to go, because I had to go to the registry, I knew I was going to. By the time I get back to your shop, get in my car, come here, went down to and park somewhere, because I didn't dare put in the meter, because I don't know how long I'd be there. And then walk over there. I knew it was going to be a while.
It took you, what, an hour and a half?
Hour and a half.
Wow. So they were busy.
Just to stand in line to tell them I want to get a registration. Took me a while. And then I went and sit down, and I waited. I said, oh, my God. Place was jammed.
Really?
Yep.
Yes.
The other day I didn't want to go because the line was outside to the sidewalk. I said, I ain't waiting this long. So I waited to the last minute, and I said, that was yesterday. I got 1 day. This is it today. I got to go today. No choice.
I have true empathy for those girls there. Everybody complains about the registry people, but what they have to put up with, when you see what they have to put up with.
They got 2 people working the damn counter, and the place is jammed. Come on. You know, there's 5 counters there. Put 5 people up and get rid of them.
Well, then I hear our new governor said he was going to correct that. I guess it hasn't happened yet.
No, and the other one, everyone that's in the registry head of it said, oh, we're going to straighten this out. And it's got worse.
Yeah. Well, it's the aggravation comes at no extra charge, Billy.
Oh, yeah, you do. Your blood pressure goes up in that joint.
Yeah. Well, they usually have kids crawling around. It's like
oh yeah, kids running them down the aisle and screaming and hollering, and mothers hauling at them. Hey, caramba.
Yeah, I know. Well, at least you can find out the latest tattoo of the week, and you know, there's some things.
Well, I don't have to go to the Bedford Zoo. I was right there.
I know it's we make fun of it, but it's
the truth.
It's almost like a tragedy when you see what's happening around us in this country.
And you know, and they're making plenty of money.
Oh, who are you blaming? The registry?
Money going across there like crazy.
Well, yeah, because of the taxes and fees. Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of people registering the cars, paying big sales tax and big excise taxes and big sales tax. Oh my God! And registrations.
Well, the town you live in or the city mails you the excise tax. But yeah. But if you owe excise tax and you haven't paid it, they won't let you register your car or renew your license. Yeah.
Nope.
Or if you have child payments, whatever, they have to really come down on people because everybody's trying to beat the system, you know.
Yeah.
So. But now the system is as much a part of us as anything
So how'd you make out with your friend up there? You guys were humming.
Yeah. Mike's.
I had to go talk to the woman over there and say, "You put up with this?" She says, "I'm just used to this for 18 years."
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah. Well, I'm. You know, obviously we've been doing more business with this fella, and my brothers in the past did a lot of business with him. You know, in years gone by, but I was a little further away from him, so you know, I had less contact with him up until recently, as you're well aware. So, but it worked out.
Yeah,
it worked out, Billy. So,
all right, you know what's on for tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
All right.
So
I'll see you then.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thanks, Billy. Okay, you can give us a call here, 996-0500, 996-0500. Wells Fargo executive to forfeit millions over scandal. Well, what do you know? They're being made the poster boy here for the banking establishment. Take the heat off the other deals that are going down that you don't hear about. Announcement comes as the head of Stump, not Trump now. Don't misunderstand this. This is Stump, S-T-U-M-P. Stump's planned appearance before the House Financial Committee on Thursday, where he is expected to face bipartisan grilling, similar to what he experienced last week in the Senate Banking Committee. Well, that's when Elizabeth Warren, I don't particularly like Elizabeth Warren. I don't agree with her, well, basically leftist ideology. It's just not part of my DNA, frankly. But I have to admire her for the way she tore into this guy. Man, she was like a pit bull let go. When I saw this, I saw the hearings live, and when she went after this guy, and rightfully so. I mean, he was getting kind of like a softball game with the good old boys there when he was being grilled by the other Senate members of that banking committee, Senate Banking Committee, and I guess they were on him, but softball pitches back and forth, kind of, until they let her loose, and I guess they knew they had her. But man, they opened the cage and she came out. Wow. And you haven't seen it to yourself if you have access. And I know many of you don't, which is a tragedy, but if you don't have access to a computer, well, go to the library and start playing with one of theirs, start learning, start educating yourself. But if you don't have access to online data today, then you're truly in the dark unless you see it real time, and you have one shot to see it unless they rerun it. But online, you can always go to podcasts, and there's so much time shifting now going on. It's kind of like TiVo. TiVos are for movies, but online you can go in and podcast. Speaking of which, you can, for that matter, you can go listen to this program on YouTube. You can pull us up at All About Cars and listen to this program or past programs. So we're available online for the global community. Matter of fact, Matt informed me one time that my program was banned in Germany. I said, whoa, man, reaching the big leagues. Why was it banned, you might be asking? Why did they ban this program? Well, I guess there was an old song I played that is copyright protected in Germany, and these logarithms, these computer programs, little mini programs, lurk in the background, monitoring our movements, and they denied the program to play, I guess. So that was one of the reasons. So many rules, so many regulations to human beings, you know. So to be free today, it's difficult to be free, to be independent. You have to be responsible. A lot of people don't want to be responsible, so hence they lose their freedoms. Such is life. Nothing new. This has gone on for millennia. Anyway, back to the story here. The San Francisco-based bank independent directors are also launching their own investigation, hiring the law firm Sherman and Sterling to assist them. Well, you know, they just want to make sure they don't screw up as they address these issues. Not because they're already in a world of crap right now. In their announcement, the independent directors said the moves did not preclude the board from pursuing more salary clawbacks from Stumpf or Tolstead. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. That's the lady who was involved in that segment that set up all these erroneous accounts on people, fake accounts, and saddled them with, I guess, fees and what have you, depending on the results of the investigation. This is Wells Fargo Bank, which I believe is the second largest bank in the country. Stumpf, as a member of Wells Fargo's board of directors and chairman of the board, has recused himself from any decisions that may come from the investigation, the board said. We will proceed with a sense of urgency, but we'll take the time we need to conduct a thorough investigation. Wells Fargo leading independent director said in a statement. Wells Fargo had been under pressure from lawmakers and others to implement its executive compensation clawback provisions after the bank agreed to pay $185 million to settle allegations its employees opened millions of accounts without customers' permission to reach aggressive sales targets. In the process of doing that, when they were opening all these millions of accounts, their stock had gone up quite a bit. So many of the board of directors, and if you own stock in Wells Fargo, you were happy if you see a stock rising. You may not know why it's rising, but one of the reasons was this shenanigans they were doing. Stumpf, not Trump. Stumpf has faced bipartisan outrage for his handling of the scandal. Republican Senator Bob Corker, Tennessee, said at a banking committee hearing where Stumpf testified last week that it would be malpractice if Wells Fargo did not institute any compensation clawbacks. Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts told Stumpf he should resign and give back the money you took while the scam was ongoing. Yeah, they did come after him. Stumpf is a 34-year veteran of Wells Fargo and chief executive officer since 2007. He earned $19.3 million last year. Jeez, I could do pretty good on that. Wow. If I made that kind of money, I'd have a huge party for the city of New Bedford. $19.3 million. Man, I can't imagine making that kind of money in a year. I don't know. Just, that's what's happening. And he's not alone, trust me. $19.3 million. Well, that's what happens when you have basically a corrupt, dishonest banking system through the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve is a private organization. Don't let the word federal screw up your mind. Okay? Federal Reserve is supposed to monitor the banks. It's just a private cabal of men and women who have been basically screwing us since 1914. Where did they start? Right around then. And now you have inflation and everything else. Income taxes. Okay? Because income taxes were, the founders of our country never intended on us paying taxes on our toil, on our labor. But see, now we've, comforted ourselves with all this socialist programs, and now we're paying the price. We can see what's happened. Very good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon, Ralph, again from one of the deplorables.
Oh, I like talking to deplorables.
Yeah. I was reading this article about autonomous cars and who's going to be at fault when there's accidents with driverless cars in them. It's pretty interesting.
Well, I'm
like
sure.
the insurance companies. So now they said that a lot of these vehicles might be not owned by people, but owned by corporations.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the corporations would be self-insuring. And so now they're looking at like when there's an accident, obviously, who's to blame? Now, if the person is not driving, then the company who owns the vehicle could be responsible, and they might even look at malfunctioning equipment. They sue, counter sue back to if it was a faulty part that caused it, but a part broke in the front end and that caused the accident. So they would go back to the company and counter sue them for the damage done because the ball joint broke. And a lot of this crappy equipment and stuff we're buying coming out of China, there's definitely some liability there. But one of the problems they were saying was that they have no actuarial tables to go by because this is such like new technology. In other words, like they have actuarial tables on when someone dies, the age, if men die at a certain age usually, and so many years before women,
often
and
a
all
plane
this kind
crashes.
of stuff. So, but they have no tables like this because they have no data to fall back on who's to, who would be to blame and who would be sued. That was pretty interesting, and they were saying like these companies would be probably be self-insuring, but the only people I know of are now these days that are self-insuring is like the post office. Most of the vehicles, they if you look, they don't have license tags on them. They don't have license plates,
right.
and so they are self-insuring. So if you get into an accident, instead of my insurance company against your insurance company, it's my insurance company against your corporation, against your lawyers. So, that's kind of you ever tried suing City Hall or the government? So
good luck.
That's So that's the kind. But they would and like with a car, they would say, well, like who's to fault? Who's to blame? Who's at fault? And they've got that vehicle that's going to be coming out with no steering wheel. So you can't say, well, Mr. Medeiros, you are responsible because you're responsible for this vehicle. You were sitting in the front seat. Yeah, but I was sitting in the front seat, but this guy doesn't have any steering wheel or pedal. So how can you say that I was responsible for the operation of this vehicle? So there's just a lot of...
Yeah, they've lobbied hard what you're saying about California mandated a steering wheel and brakes so that the licensed operator could take charge. But now California is going to concede to federal regulations, which will allow no steering wheel and no brake for the latest version, the newest versions coming out for the future. So
I was just thinking, like, how would technicians work on a car and that had no steering wheel? How could you, how would you? What would you say?
They probably would be able to remotely control the vehicle to bring it in at a slow speed into the garage.
That was another thing they were saying. Another way to find fault if it wasn't manufacturing rather malfunctioning equipment, it could be malfunctioning software which caused the accident. And so it's just a whole brave new world here, a whole lot of different things that it could be. And
no, I know we're in for we're in for a lot of changes. I mean, we're talking about the mechanics of making these things work and the liabilities and and all the scenarios haven't played out. You know what I mean? As far as these cars and all the potential. It's like when you make a car, Volvo's doing a recall because water's getting into the inside and shorting out from the air conditioner drip tube. Water's getting into the vehicle and shorting out their computers and airbags. Well, that's a minor example of technical issues that are unforeseen, okay? And I'm sure there's still many, many events that are unforeseen that they're going to have to technically solve as these autonomous vehicles become more common.
Hey, I had a question for you. I happen to be reading something about BMWs, and the guy was saying that the BMWs, the engines are, contrary to popular belief that they're, you know, a super car. He was saying that they have a lot of problems with the engines on BMWs, and you know, he listed all the particular things, and I can't remember them, but really funny, real weird things like a nut falling off the oil pump pulley, and then the engine would seize up, and really a lot of things that you wouldn't expect from such a high, an expensive car, you know, the high performance car. Do you know?
Well, yeah, there's all kinds of tech. You can be up all night reading technical service bulletins from the different manufacturers with problems.
I mean, just on BMWs in particular.
Yeah.
Do you find those engines to be have a lot of problems?
No more than any others.
Really?
You know, they might have a new design out that's taking advantage of these new stringent fuel economy rules, and they make them lighter, and you know, they change the architecture, and they learn, and they have to, as they get more of them out, you know, you make one or two and they run good, but you make 100, now you see a problem you didn't, you know, see in the first.
I see some nice BMWs that I'd like to own, but this guy was really slamming them, so I didn't know if I don't know if he's just down on BMWs or they really are pieces of crap. No more than anything else.
Well, no, BMW do engineer a nice car, and they're very advanced in technology and assembly, and they do build a good car, and you pay for them. I mean, but the quality are at next level. There's no question. They're engineering. They're known for, and they make usually good on if they have a problem, they'll make it right. You know, they've been at it a long time, and over the decades, they've always built a quality product, and their engine technology is right up there. I mean, they've built airplane engines, they've built motorcycles, of course, way back, and now cars are a big, you know, they're a big thing, cars and motorcycles, and they're out around the world. And I did tour their plant, and I have to say I was highly impressed. I've been through numerous auto plants, but they do an impressive job.
Well, I was curious if this guy really seemed to be slamming the BMWs as far as junky motors, a lot of problems.
But they all have it. I mean, I don't think BMW has you know, an excessive amount of problems, and let's say Hyundai or Kia or any of all the high lines and Mercedes. I mean, they're pushing the envelope so fast now. And
I know.
Cars, that they're learning a lot of things. I mean, they have to just. I mean, you look at the plastic underneath the hood now. It's look under a new car. There's far more plastic, like the plenums. Like
how else can you get those emission standards and the not the emission standards,
mileage,
but the mileage? You know,
they make them
cheapen the car, lighten the weight of the car, and then you can get a lot farther gas mileage because cars don't weigh that much.
Yeah, the plenum, like on Subarus, used to be aluminum tubes that would feed the air to the engine. Now they're all plastic. Now that's okay. I mean, they maybe make them cheaper and all that. But what happens though is if you go service that car down the road, and they get thermally fatigued. Around 75, 80K, and then when you go to replace that belt or whatever you do for service, and your technician touches the part, it cracks, it breaks. Some of these technicians are they're like bulls in a china cabinet, and they break stuff. You know, some of these guys are rough, and you know, they break lines, clips, you know, plastic parts. I've seen this countless times, and these newer machines, it's going to be really
plastic parts are generally, you know, they fatigue or they just become brittle because of the age and the temperature. You know.
Yeah, you can't compare it to an aluminum, like a thermostat housing made out of plastic, ABS plastic. Compare it to aluminum cast housing. I mean, there's no comparison. You know,
all that stuff looks great when it's new, but once it gets a couple of years under its belt, it looks, you know, shabby and brittle. And
no, you're right. You're right.
That's sad when they do that.
Well, you just got to make sure you keep your vehicle in good shape, and that you don't want to be one of the deplorables walking home.
Well, you know, I was I'll tell you this funny story. I ran into I have a pickup truck now, but I ran into a guy who has like an F-250. It was GMC, and it was And I looked at it, it was a Denali, and I said, oh my God, how much does this cost? And I said to by the way, he happened to be at the bank. So I looked at it and I said, what's this, like 60 grand? He goes, oh, way more than that. I'm like, I'm like, holy crap. I mean, I think 40 to 50 grand is too much to spend for a truck now. And here's a guy probably with 70 grand or something. And I said, is that ridiculous or what?
Do you remember when they would, you're old enough to remember the Italian lira?
Sure.
Okay, and they would say something, how much is that? $80. And then lira would be like 15,000 lira or something, right? Mm. And a dollar, we're turning it that way. I mean, when you look at what's happening, I mean, when I hear about how the Fed is striving for 2% inflation, it's just crazy. When we were younger, your parents, grandparents, they didn't like inflation. If you told them we want 2% inflation, they say, what the hell is wrong with you? Because people aren't getting the pay raises, so net you're getting poorer. In most cases, not all cases, but many people in the private sector are falling behind, and they continue to inflate. And you look at these prices.
I like it when you say, Ralph, to enjoy the decline, because after we have the decline, then I'll be able to buy one of these vehicles at a decent price. I mean, I'm not going to spend 50 grand for it, even if it's a nice four-wheel drive pickup. I'll wait until we have the decline, and I can buy it for half that price. So
yeah, well, I say it with a little bit of hubris, but the fact is, when I say to enjoy decline, there are many people who are talented out there say, to hell with it, I'm not going to open that business, I'm not going to pay these taxes, I'm not going to go through this regulation. So more people who are talented are saying it isn't worth it. So we continue to have more decline because of this path we're on. And it seems that many people, the more educated they are, the more blinded they are. Of course, I call modern education in many cases, at many of these institutions, to be an indoctrination more than an education. Mm-hmm. And it's quite apparent. But I should play some of the polls numbers that Trump has come up with. You hear on the news all the time, but he's got, that you hear on the mass media, but you listen to what's happening out of the news sources, and it's just a whole different story out there. It really is.
Yeah, well, like you say, every hour we can find out who the news person is that's in the lead. Right now, Trump will be in lead, and then an hour from now, Hillary will be in the lead, and then when the news comes on another hour from now, Trump will be in the lead again. So,
well, the powers to be is a major shakeup. It's happening around the world. Is Brexit in England, which was they had fought that, the system, this globalization, and they fought that, and the British people thought better of it and voted for Brexit, which sent shockwaves throughout the world. And it's taking place in other countries. In Austria, they have strong Germany. Merkel has lost her in her parliament. Has lost a lot of in the Reichstag. They've lost many of the members of her party because of her policies of this open immigration, letting a million people from.
I can see to some extent that people would say, well, we need we need to support people who are less off. On off as good as us, and that's the way I see that. That's with the European Union, with the poorer countries being helped out by the richer countries. But is a handout or a helping hand? And if you're gonna give somebody a handout I'd rather give them a helping hand to get them on their feet and they can be prosperous as well. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you keep giving a helping hand, pretty soon a lot of people will just come to expect that, and they don't work any. Why should I work hard? I get it for free.
Well, that's right.
We've seen now what the welfare system has done to working people.
Greece is in trouble. Portugal's in trouble. Spain, Italy's teetering their banking system. I think they got Jamie Dimon over there supposedly going to try to save their bacon, but. You look what's happening. There's a lot of people are tired of the regulations, the transfer of payments of wealth, and there's a it's global. This is nothing new in America. What's happening here now? It's global. What's taking place? Okay, so but it's everybody has their own opinions, and it's usually based on a very narrow. Read of the issues, so to speak, and a very narrow access to news sources today. I mean, you can get many news sources today, a lot of free information without paying. You can get more serious things if you pay a little bit of money. But you really have to drill down. I mean, to get what's happening out there. Otherwise, you're going to get what other people want you to believe.
Yeah, you're going to get the BS. You're going to get the mainstream baloney.
Yeah, and see, they're losing their grip, and it's there are some online radio stations, if you will, or news sources that have more listeners in any given hour of the day than CNN has at their peak times. They're starting to even rival Fox and other ABC and these others, and they're losing control. And just like the newspapers were marginalized now by the internet and by even terrestrial radio.
Sure.
Less people are subscribing to newspapers. They've gotten expensive to deliver that product in your hand. And if you're over, I guess if you're, let's say it another way, if you're under 50, very few people under 50, especially under 40, are used to or have experienced on a regular basis having a newspaper in their hand to read. They read online if they read at all, and or they listen online, or they're sucked into the mainstream TV, which is suffering. So it's a whole, Although I met a young lady who shocked me with some of the news sources she was at, and she was talking about a car, her and her boyfriend, and they're getting married soon, and I was shocked at her knowledge, and then I started talking to her and some of the news sites she went to, and I would say I was impressed with this person, and she's just a normal worker. Okay, she's in healthcare and homekeeping and cleaning, and I was surprised at her depth of knowledge. It gave me confidence for a lot of young people.
That's good, but that's the 1 in 1,000, right?
Yeah, but this is a person of humble background and education, but yet she definitely had a grip of what was happening. I would say I was pleasantly surprised. And she, I think she had a better grip of what's going on in the world.
All we need is for her to give birth and raise kids that are intelligent also.
Well, okay, now I'll go with that. But everything has a way of sorting itself out, one way or the other. We reap what we sow, and I say that in an agnostic sense. A nation reaps what it sows, and without any religious connotation. It's just universal laws. That's the way it is, my friend.
Okay.
Thanks.
Have a nice weekend, Ralph.
Yep, you too. Be safe.
Right. Bye.
Enjoy the conversation. I will play a quick little tune. I got to get something to drink. I'm losing my voice. I think we're going to play something. Here we go. This is Maurice Chevalier, 1930. Make Maurice head back to the abyss. And just a reminder, folks, we got many cars that are priced very reasonable. If you're in the market or you know someone looking for a car, or if you have access to go online, go to ralphscars.com, look us up. We've got some great values out there. Great selection of Hondas, Toyotas, little trucks. Some are mostly automatic, some 5-speeds if you're looking for that unusual vehicle. And most of these cars are very reasonably priced. And we have some expensive ones. We have some late models, foreign stuff that can run you a few bucks. And We have a couple of sports coupes, Scions, little 5-speed 2-door coupe, nice clean little cars, priced reasonable, priced under $7,000. Little Honda Civic automatic, 07, 44,000 miles, priced at under $9,500. Some Dakota trucks, priced at under $5,000. Okay, some really good values out there that we have in stock. A little Hyundai, we got a nice little Hyundai 2011, low mileage, 44,000 miles, priced at $11,700. And 09 Subaru Outbacks, a lot of Subarus. We saw a lot of Subarus, priced at under $12,000. Some great values out there in cars. A little Toyota Corolla 2003 with 75,000 miles, real low mileage, priced at just under $5,500. An 06 Dakota truck ST Club Cab, priced at that's a nice little truck, priced at under $8,600. The mileage on that truck's like 69,000 miles, so we have some real good prices with low mileage and low prices. So, and these cars are thoroughly serviced. We put money in our cars. A lot of stores will just make them look good, smell good, and do the minimum, absolute minimum they have to get it out the door, get you a sticker, and see you later. Hasta la vista, baby. But we go longer. We put 90 days on our cars for warranty standard. Most places you get 30 max. Sometimes they're forced, if it's a late model car, to go longer. But we service these cars. If we do brake work, more often than not we replace the rotors. If they look edgy, we just replace them. A lot of places shave them and leave them on the car. We don't get into that. We're running out of time. Thank you for listening. Come by at Ralph's Auto Central. Look us up on the web at ralphscars.com. You can also look us up on Facebook, and we're on YouTube as well at ralphscars.com. You can podcast some of the older podcasts if you so desire. And give me a call at the store if you have any questions. Thank you for listening. Catch you next week. Be safe. Enjoy your weekend. And God willing, we'll be back next week.
You know what I mean? Don't you?